If you want to win more tennis matches, then you need to make more returns of serve. That's exactly what this lesson is going to focus on. We're about to show you 3 different ways to make more returns and win more matches.
The goal of the return is to simply just get the ball back in play. It's to start the point. But before we get started on the defensive return, which is going to be the return that we're going to cover first, we must talk about being ready and prepared to go. And a lot of amateur players don't do this. They just face the server gets ready, and they stand there waiting for the serve. The problem with this is that you're not putting yourself in the most athletic or balanced or ready position. So, rule number 1, you must split step. And what I mean by split step is you have to have your feet touching the ground when the server makes contact. So, that is rule number 1. Now, let's go into the defensive return. This is when you're facing a server like Ian, who has a nice out wide serve, a nice tee serve, or a big serve in general. And what you want to do is just block the ball back. Now, there's 2 main points of emphasis. Number 1, quality of contact. Obviously, if you shank a return, the ball's not going to go exactly where you want it to, and you might put yourself in a bad position right off the bat. So, number 1, quality of contact, hitting the ball in the center of the strings. Number 2 is the angle of the racket face. In a defensive return, like I said earlier, your goal is to get the ball deep back in play, to neutralize the point. So, what I'm going to stress here is quality of contact and angle of racket face, sending the ball high over the net and deep into the court. Now, let's see if I can do a couple of these. Good, so Ian says that was a little bit out, so I'm going to close my racket face a little bit, make the arc a little bit lower. Good, one more. So, no big backswing, no huge forward swing, just blocking the ball, keeping it deep so that they can't attack you right off the bat.
Now that Ira has shown you the keys to being successful when a server has a big, powerful serve and you're in a tough, rushed, more defensive situation, let's talk about what to do in a neutral situation where you have a little bit more time, the serve is a little bit more reasonable, and it's tempting to want to take a big cut at the ball to start off offensively, but what I'm about to show you is actually much more simple than that and will give you much better results. You'll be much more consistent. So a second ago, Ira was demonstrating with a continental grip, which is really smart for defensive shots because it's easy to open the racket face and just block the ball back. What we're going to do now is switch to topspin drive grip, and we're actually going to do a 2-part progression here. The first practice shots I'm going to hit against Ira, I'm just going to make my unit turn and then meet the ball with my topspin grip. And that's it. Just like Ira was talking about in the defensive scenario, on a neutral ball, contact is key. Contact point is key. When I first said contact, I meant quality of contact. And where you meet the ball is super critical. So I'm going to do a couple here, just practicing meeting the ball. And the ball's not going to make it over. That's fine. I'm just going to practice meeting the ball cleanly and simply. So good contact point. You'll see that the racket actually is absorbed a bit. My hand is loose, relaxed. I'm not squeezing the racket very tightly. And so I'm just practicing finding a quality contact point and making clean contact. That was a little bit off center, and I can tell that because I was just holding the racket there and the ball did not hit in a good spot. So I know what to adjust. So once I get pretty consistent with meeting the ball in a good spot, hitting the ball cleanly, I'll start to give the ball some direction. And you'll be very surprised that on a medium pace serve from your opponents, it takes very little effort. And this is the key here. Most of you watching on a neutral shot are taking huge cuts at the ball and your consistency is plummeting. So if you just meet the ball cleanly and just give it some direction with a nice calm swing, you'll find that it's very easy to give the ball pretty decent depth. I didn't hit that very cleanly. That's a nice, easy, deep return. So all I'm doing is meeting the ball in the same spot, giving it some direction, giving it a little bit of lift, a little bit of depth, and it's the easiest way to start the point, in a good, strong position, and then work it out from there. Now Kirby's going to show you what to do when you have a sitter and it's easy to attack and be offensive.
Now that we know what to do when we're trying to neutralize your return, you also need to know what to do in order to create an offensive situation for yourself. So for example, if you are in the situation where you're playing against somebody who doesn't have a very strong serve, or they really struggle with their second serve, then you've got to know how to capitalize on this opportunity. So in order to do this, I'm going to show you a couple of different ways. We want to be ready, and our position in the court is a little farther in. The first technique that we're going to use is called the walking step. I'm ready in my ready position. I split step like Ira was talking about at the beginning, as soon as the server makes contact. And then when the ball comes to me, I walk and I'm stepping on my outside leg, walking through the shot. It's going to look a little something like this. I walk, and I can be offensive stepping into the court. Your second option is called a hopping step. Again, I'm starting in my ready position, that athletic base Ira was talking about. I split, I square up to the court to get in position, and I'm going to load on my inner leg and hop as I continue going forward. That looks like this. That way I can keep moving through the court. Now the third and final thing that I want to tell you is how to make your swing adjust so that you can put yourself into this offensive position. In order to do this, I'm going to bring my target down. When we were neutralizing the return, we were aiming a lot higher over the net, from 8 to 10 feet even when we're in a defensive position. But now that we're in an offensive position, I'm going to be aiming between 1 and 3 feet over the net. So to do this, I'm going to make my swing path a little bit more lateral. It's going to look like this. So to do this, I'm just flattening out my swing. These are 3 tips that will help you make the most out of these situations. And if this helped you, I hope it did. Go to returnactionplan.com or click the link in the description down below for a practice plan that can help you out the next time you're on court so that you can put these tips into practice. If you liked this video, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and comment below for more topics that would help your tennis. In the meantime, we will see you in the next lesson.
Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. So that they can't attack you right off the bat. Yeah. Woo!
Now Kirby's going to show you what to do when you have a sitter and it's easy to attack and be offensive. Is that good enough?
You held on to it.
All right, I'm good whenever. I'm ready. We've got to also know what to do when we come across a server that we can really take advantage of. I don't like